Hey everyone, YouTube Game Postulio here, back at it again with another random musing. So here's the thing, the other day my kid, who is solidly a part of Generation Alpha, started begging me for Invader Zim merch. And I'm thinking to myself, so now you decide to listen to my suggestions for media to partake in? It's kind of funny how these things work, because earlier in their life, I showed them Invader Zim. They thought it was kind of funny, but they didn't really think much of it. But now they're out of nowhere, they just became completely obsessed. It's a very surreal feeling, seeing your own childhood interest starting to resonate with your kids. And it's also a very vindicating feeling knowing that you still have good taste 20 years later and that you continue to just always be right about everything. Always. Forever and ever. Now, to give you a little bit of context, I am a child of the 90s. This was a time where a lot of animation was being used to push the boundaries of what you could see on TV. The Simpsons, Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, it was a golden age, really. I mean, I know a lot of us millennials say it was a golden age of animation, but it really was. In hindsight, it's kind of clear, though, that a lot of the humor was derived from the kind of boys club behavior that was going on behind the scenes. I'm looking at you, Ren and Stimpy. But regardless of this fact, shows like these shaped my humor that would shape the dad jokes that I tell my kids today. Anyways, my curiosity got the best of me and I started digging. I pulled up Google Trends and I started noticing that there was a bit of a correlation between searches for Invader Zim and the show Hazbin Hotel, another show that my kid has actually seen. So obviously I wanted to know, what's the connection between these two shows? Why is Zim still resonating so strongly with the younger generations? And how is it influencing the new wave of adult animation? So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, to really understand Invader Zim's impact, we need to go back to its creator, Jonan Vasquez. Vasquez first made a name for himself with the comic Johnny the Homicidal Maniac in the mid-90s. Now, Johnny was known for its dark, surreal humor and really pretty edgy dark humor at the time. It also had this very distinct angular art style with like very thick lines, and I guess the way that I would best describe it is everyone was just kind of like a living shadow in a certain way. And elements of these things would later define the humor and aesthetic of Invader Zim. Now, as I stated earlier, in the late 90s and the early 2000s, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network both experienced a really big renaissance in original animation. Both networks actively sought out fresh, innovative ideas from up-and-coming creators, and this resulted in a slate of TV shows that pushed the boundaries of what was considered quote-unquote kids television. This era was epitomized by programs like Oh Yeah Cartoons and Kablam, which served as incubators for a new generation of animators and writers. Oh Yeah Cartoons, which ran from '98 to 2001, was a showcase for short, quirky, and often irreverent cartoons. It gave a platform to then unknown creators like Butch Hartman, who would go on to create shows like Fairly OddParents and Danny Phantom. Similarly, Kablam, which aired from '96 to 2000, was a very unique blend of live action and animated shorts featuring offbeat segments like Action League Now and Prometheus and Bob. Now, these shows were more than just entertainment, they were a breeding ground for creativity and experimentation. Many of the shorts that premiered on these programs went on to become cult classics in their own right, with dedicated fan bases that still exist to this day. They proved that there was a hunger for animation that was edgy, subversive, and unafraid to take risks. Looking back, it's very clear that Nickelodeon's commitment to original animation during this period left a really indelible mark on the medium. Shows like Oh Yeah Cartoons and Kablam paved the way for bold, boundary-pushing animated series that would follow, both on Nickelodeon and beyond. They remind us of the importance of really nurturing new voices and taking chances on unconventional ideas, because you never know where the next groundbreaking cartoon might come from. So when Zim premiered in 2001, it was unlike anything else on Nickelodeon. So Invader Zim follows the misadventures of Zim, Urkin Invader, a mighty alien race of conquerors, and he was kinda just trained wrong as a joke. He is the Wimplo of the Urkin race. And as the punchline to this joke, he was sent to conquer some backwater planet called Earth. Zim is aided by his robot assistant, Gur, who was one of the top-of-the-line models until Zim got a hold of him. While on Earth, Zim is constantly being chased and harassed and trying to be exposed by a classmate of his named Dib, a paranormal investigator who sees through Zim's disguise and makes every attempt possible to expose him as the alien that he is. Throughout the series, Zim starts concocting increasingly bizarre and elaborate schemes to take over the planet, often with very disastrous results. His plans are constantly foiled by his own hubris, Gur's unpredictable behavior, and Dib's attempts at intervening. This dynamic establishes one of the show's core themes: the overall futility in Zim's quest and just the overall absurdity of the world that he inhabits. The society that Zim is trying to conquer is this weird, near-futuristic dystopia, where commercialization has taken over everything, capitalism has taken over everything, and the masses are basically just considered sheep and lambs for the sacrificial slaughter of the almighty machine. So basically, it's just like our world now. The show is very clear about its opinion on the incompetence of authority, at least, at the time that the show was being aired. And to be quite frank, that's something that I am okay with my kids understanding at a very early age. In episodes like Mega Doomer or A Room with a Moose, it really underscores the series' dark, subversive, and weird humor, and its willingness to really push the boundaries of what was considered acceptable in children's programming. And there's also episodes like The Wettening, where Zim has a fear of water because it's toxic to his alien race, and this ends up leading to a citywide water crisis, and it culminates into the entire planet basically being flooded by a water balloon. It's very much giving regular show vibes, which I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of inspiration about the escalation of events there. And so this is what leads us to Hazbin Hotel. I think it's pretty clear that Invader Zim's influence can be seen all over Hazbin Hotel. It can be seen in the character dynamics, the tone, sense of humor, and just as Zim is an outsider in a world he seeks to conquer, Hazbin Hotel's Charlie is a misfit in hell striving to redeem souls in a society that deems them irredeemable. And both characters are driven by a sense of purpose that sets them apart from their cynical surroundings, even if that sense of purpose in the end is ultimately futile. And just as the way that Zim used its absurdist humor to comment on societal norms and expectations, this really kind of paved the way for Hazbin Hotel's biting satire of contemporary issues. And it creates a really distinctive visual language that has really shown its influence across generations of new cartoons.
Shh, not now, son. I'm making toast.
And both shows take a very similar approach to world building and continuity. While each episode can really stand alone as a very self-contained story, the series does reward dedicated viewers with recurring characters, running gags, and basically an overarching mythology. Having that balance of episodic and serialized storytelling has really become a hallmark of many animated series, including Hazbin Hotel. But at the end of the day, Zim was more than just a niche oddball show. Its random, irreverent humor and distinct aesthetic made it a very salient cultural touchstone for scene kids, emo kids, and basically anyone who identified with the RAR XD random subculture, myself included. That's me. I am that random XD RAR. So Zim's influence extended beyond just the screen, and it was really shaping the sensibilities of an entire generation. So we're going to fast forward to 2019, and we're going to come to the premiere of Hazbin Hotel on YouTube. This pilot was created by Vivian Vizipop Medrano, and the show itself, the main protagonist Charlie, is the princess of hell who dreams of redeeming sinners through her happy hotel. While Charlie is more idealistic and optimistic than Zim, they both share a certain naivete and outsider status within their respective worlds. Charlie's earnest belief in redemption is often met with ridicule, much like Zim's grandiose plans for world domination are dismissed by his peers. In the pilot episode of Hazbin Hotel, it introduces Charlie's core group of allies and adversaries. Vaggie, Charlie's girlfriend and hotel co-founder, serves as a voice of reason and caution, not unlike Gaz, Dib's sister, in her role in trying to just point out the fact that Dib is dumb. Angel Dust, the hotel's first patron and an adult film star by trade, and while Zim probably wouldn't use the exact same explicit type of content, I could very easily see them making some sort of joke about somebody who makes money smashing fruit with their feet on like a live stream. I mean, this was during the Schneider era, so it is completely viable. The main antagonist of the pilot is Alistair, a powerful demon overlord who offers to help Charlie run the hotel, but whose true motives remain suspect. Alistair's charming but menacing demeanor and old-timey radio host aesthetic bears some similarities to Zim's more flamboyant foes. And I would honestly say that like Dib is very flamboyant in a way. He takes a lot after his dad. Dib's dad would fit perfectly in like a JoJo's anime. Just off topic. So throughout the plot, Hazbin Hotel establishes its dark satirical tone and its commentary on themes of sin, redemption, and free will. In one notable scene, Charlie performs a musical number expressing her belief that even demons can be redeemed, only to be laughed off the stage by a very cynical audience. And despite the fact that this is giving very much Once More with Feeling from Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibes,
They got the mustard.
I would also say that despite constant setbacks and humiliations, both characters continue on in their goals, mainly undeterred. There are certain moments in the pilot, like the news report branding Charlie as a failure or the turf war between rival demon gangs. This wouldn't feel out of place in an episode of Zim, even as just like a background gag or something like that. They establish a world that is both absurd yet strangely familiar, where the protagonist's idealistic goals are constantly undercut by the harsh realities around them. But for some reason, they just keep moving. In interviews, Medrano has cited Invader Zim as a major inspiration for Hazbin Hotel, both in terms of its tone and DIY spirit. Like Vasquez, Medrano got her start as an independent creator, building a following online through her art and character designs. So while Hazbin Hotel and Invader Zim tell very different stories, they are connected by their shared ethos of using dark humor, irreverent humor, to really explore themes of identity, morality, and societal expectations. By centering on misfit characters who challenge the status quo of their bizarre worlds, both shows offer a very subversive take on the hero's journey that continues to resonate with audiences seeking something different in their entertainment. Watching my kids engage with Hazbin Hotel is very interesting, to say the least. Because yeah, there are going to be moments where I'm sitting here like, I don't know if I should be letting you watch this, but I can't really help but reflect on my own preteen and adolescent years. And this was when South Park was the edgiest thing on TV. And we're talking about like early seasons of South Park. So I think if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's very interesting how this cycle just ends up repeating. each generation gravitates towards shows that really resonates with their sensibilities, even if it does raise a few eyebrows among their parents. My 10-year-old's whole aesthetic and interests are just so reminiscent of my own Zim phase. It's not just the style, they're talking about shows like Murderbots and Amazing Digital Circus, which are all just dripping with that Zim influence. The snappy dialogue, the absurdist gags, the random bursts of over-the-top action in Sakuga, it's just like watching my own preteen taste reincarnated for a digital age. But when you think about it, the core dynamics haven't really changed that much. Sure, the references are different, the platforms have evolved, but Gen Alpha with YouTube and TikTok and Discord fandoms are drawn to shows like Hazbin Hotel for the same reasons that I was drawn to Zim. It's that rebellious spirit, that drive to explore life's absurdities, and just all of it through a very warped and distorted and pretty funny lens. As a parent, it's natural to be concerned about quote-unquote inappropriate content, but then I remember I had to hide myself watching South Park and Adult Swim from my mom, waiting till I knew she was asleep, sneaking into the living room and putting those shows on a very low volume. Who am I to talk? So ultimately, every generation finds its own way to really assert its identity. And maybe in a strange way, shows like Zim and Hazbin Hotel are just really a natural part of that process. A very surreal rite of passage for people who are honestly probably going to end up terminally online. So here I am, doing everything I can, holding on to what I am, watching my kids laugh at the demonic antics in Hazbin Hotel. And I can't even really be that mad, because like I said, I was their age once and I turned out relatively unscathed for the most part, I think, maybe, I don't know. Oh, and off topic, but get this, my kids' current musical obsession? Weezer. They can't get enough of Buddy Holly, they request it every car ride, they love watching the video that was given away for free in Windows 95, mind you, so there's a little bit of a mind F. How they discovered Weezer is really beyond me, but I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just waiting for the inevitable day when they stumble upon My Chemical Romance so I can finally induct them into the Church of Gerard Way. So in the end, what I've gleaned from this deep dive is that while the specifics may change, the underlying impulses do remain constant. The drive to seek out the subversive, the unexpected, the weird, the funny, and just the little bit kind of creepy and spooky. The stuff that challenges the status quo. That's always going to be timeless. From Zim to Hazbin and whatever's going to come out in the future, there's always going to be a space for shows that dare to be different. But that is just my perspective. A dad perspective. What do you all think about Zim and the Hazbin connection? What does it say about generational shifts in media? And how do you see the lineage of boundary-pushing animation evolving? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and yeah, we'll talk about more cartoons in the near future. So until next time, I am Reptaris, I am Elijah, and I am signing off. Peace.